Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Real Sports Updates here, back again with another video. So today's video is I've been doing, the potential draft picks at the Chargers. Just a lot of ideas about what the Chargers can do in the first round. I've covered several position groups, as well as several individual players as well too. The one thing that I haven't went over yet though is the possibility of the Los Angeles Chargers trading back in the draft. Now, granted, I think that this is the most unlikely scenario to happen, but it is a possibility. Like, there is a little, maybe even if it's just a small little grain, just a small grain of, possibility of that happening. There are teams, particularly the Green Bay Packers, in my mind, when I look at the draft order, right? When I look at the first round, and when I look at the teams at the bottom of the first round, right? So you're looking at pretty much, 20 to 21 down. There are teams who have needs, and the biggest team, the team with the biggest need, basically, is the Green Bay Packers, in my opinion, with the loss of Davante Adams. But they didn't just lose him; they lost Marquise Valdez-Scantling to the Chiefs. They pretty much have lost a good percentage of their wide receiver production with just those two guys. Obviously, Davante Adams, carrying the bulk of that, but they've lost a lot of production. They've lost speed, and they need to replenish their wide receiving core. So, and just like I covered, the wide receivers, the Packers might be high on some of the wide receivers that the Chargers are not high on, simply based off of need. So, the video that I made the other day, Drake Jackson, that might be, in play for the Packers. The Jameson Williams, that might be in play as well too. And there's a bunch of other guys that, even when you go out of the first round, the guys who do have second and third round grades, there's a lot of productive college receivers who are going to be available in this draft. A lot of guys who have speed as well too. So I think like I said, it's unlikely, but the scenario is there. The Packers have holes to fill. There's a couple other teams as well too who are down there who have holes to fill. In terms of a number one wide receiver. Another team that comes to mind is the Patriots as well too. The Patriots, they pulled off that trade for Devontae Parker. What was it, a couple weeks ago? But they still are lacking, severely at the wide receiver position. Especially, when it comes to the development of Mac Jones, you have to have somebody that he's going to throw to. You have to have somebody who is going to be able to get open and going to be able to separate. The Patriots have okay wide receivers, the tight end room is okay as well too. But nobody really stands out. And, Devontae Parker he's a pretty good receiver, but, the Patriots are the most, they have the cap in mind more than other teams do, in my opinion. Just the way that they do business, the way that Bill Belichick does business. If Devontae Parker does have a really good season, especially with the way the receivers are getting paid now, he's going to want a new contract. And he might be a guy that, he just might be one and done in New England. So, the Patriots can benefit from taking a wide receiver in the draft too. So all of these, scenarios, like I said, are unlikely, but the possibility is still there. Even if it's a 1 to 10% chance of it happening, it's still there. So, it just depends on whatever team feels like they need, particularly a wide receiver. There might be some teams who like other position groups, maybe somebody might want to trade up for a Jordan Davis if Jordan Davis is available at 17. You look at a guy like, I went over the Derek Stingley thing. I don't think that he'll slide. Like I said, I don't think he'll slide past the top 10, but if for any reason he does slide, past the top 10, there might be a team who, could potentially call all of the teams, who are picking like 12 to 17 and, potentially offer a deal. So, there are a lot of different possibilities. This is the fun part about the draft. I like looking at, who, and trying to project who is going to trade up and whatnot. But the possibilities are there. And as far as the Chargers end goes, this was the most productive offseason, the most productive free agency period for the Chargers that I can ever think. I've been a Charger fan for a long time, and I can't ever remember the Chargers putting together this much talent in one offseason. So the team is extremely talented. There are holes to fill, and again, I went over that. Some of the position groups, some of the individual players. There are holes to fill, but if there are guys who the Chargers are not really like in love with, I think it could be on the table. I think a trade could be on the table. Trading back could be on the table. There are a lot of. This is not a very quarterback heavy draft. The quarterback position is very, especially when you're talking about first round talent. The quarterback position is very light in this draft, but there are several players, particularly offensive line, defensive line, that are going to be available deep into the draft, deep into the later round. So, if you're the Chargers and you're looking at having, I think the Packers have pick number 26, I want to say. I believe it's 26. So if you're looking back at, if there's a guy that you like who is going to be there at 26, it would behoove you to go ahead and trade back, and also potentially get a second round pick, get your second round pick back, the one that the Chargers traded in the Khalil Mack trade. So it does make sense, especially if you are trying to build a team, a Super Bowl team, and you need depth pieces, and you'll find depth pieces. You can find some value in the second, third round. There's going to be a lot of guys. That's why I think this particular draft, the 2022 draft, I think the most stars and I think the most productive players in this draft are going to be taken third or fourth round. Those are really, really going to be really heavy value picks. And I project a lot of teams trying to trade to get more picks in the third and fourth round, because there's going to be a lot of value there, a lot of value from pretty much every position group as well. So it does make sense from that standpoint. But I think that scenario should be covered, because like I said, I covered everything else except for that, and it could happen. I'm not going to bet on it. I would not bet any money on it, but it could happen. Particularly if a lot of these teams have their draft boards. They have their mock drafts. They have players going to different teams. They are projecting things out. But if somebody upsets the apple cart and somebody takes a player, and it's a complete surprise, and then from that point on, everybody else is kind of shifting their draft boards around too. It could really throw everything off. I've heard stories about that. Mel Kiper was just on the Dan Patrick show, I think, a couple of days ago, and he was telling stories about how the mock drafts really get people, particularly teams, the GMs, the scouts, and all that stuff. It really gets them off kilter when a player goes to a team that they weren't expecting it. They had this player slotted going to a certain team, and if the player does go to another team, it kind of messes everything up, and they kind of have to go down, pick by pick, and start reevaluating what their draft plan is. And if a player is available who they thought they can't get, and if he is available at their pick, then things kind of get just go crazy at that point. So it's a scenario that could happen, and some of this is going to happen in the draft. I don't think it's going to be with the Chargers particularly, but there's going to be some teams who are caught off guard by some of the picks that happen and whatnot. But like I said, unlikely scenario, but it is something that if you're a Charger fan, you should have that in the back of your mind. This is something that can happen, and we'll see what happens come draft day. I believe it's 9 days left till draft day, so it's gonna come up soon, and we're gonna see exactly what teams do. We're gonna see exactly how the chips fall into place. This is one of those drafts where there is not really a solid, projected number one player. So I've seen some Aiden Hutchinson, I've seen some Trayvon Walker. It's just been a bunch of it's going to be a lot of guessing going on as far as who's going to be the number one pick for sure. But we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens comes draft time. I'm excited. But yeah, you know, the Chargers should definitely consider that if it's on the table. But you know, we'll see who they like, and we'll see if a guy becomes available that they like. If he becomes available, you know, a little bit lower than they expect, then I do expect the Chargers to, you know, at least try to, you know, get more draft compensation. You can never have enough of it. You can never have enough of it. You can, you know, you can rebuild your team in 1 year with a lot of draft compensation. 3rd, 4th round picks, you know, you can do a whole lot. And, you know, Tom Telesco, he's done some of it this offseason, but, you know, it could happen. Everybody should keep their eyes open. It'll be a surprise, but don't be shocked. You know, that's a scenario that could happen. But that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. I just wanted to go over a scenario that doesn't get talked about a lot, but you know, it is one of those things that, you know, could happen every season. So but yeah, we'll see what happens. That's pretty much all I got for this video, guys. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, please. Please, if you like the content, consider subscribing to the channel. I have more content coming out very, very soon. Gonna get back into the NBA playoffs and gonna continue to cover more draft stuff as the draft gets closer. So, but yeah, that's all I got for this one, guys. Thank you for the support, and until next time, I will see you later.